for the glorious translation. I thought it was adorable. Also, that Kuro forgot that he was on the desk as a commentator at the very beginning, trying to introduce himself as a mid laner. It was actually super, super cute. I actually love it when the Rocks boys are on the desk, and they've been a fantastic new addition to the Korean broadcast. But Wolf, I mean, I don't know what Liv Sandbox is supposed to do to come back in this series, because that was domination.
I think it needs to be a less one-dimensional draft where you're so reliant on this Malphite pick for strong engage. I mean, what if you just had, I can't recall off the top of my head, because I didn't write it down, if Ornn was banned or not, but like, think about what Ornn could have brought to the composition in so many other ways, so much less one-dimensional, very safe in the top lane, can at least get you some of your item scaling to pair with that Drake if they had that, you know, some Ornn items in the late game. Could have been good, but, you know, if you go all in on the Malphite, and KT plays well around it, it's just going to be a hard game to win, especially with how the early game fights went. And I think Aphelios might just be kind of permabanned in this series with the strong Aphelios players on both sides, as the analyst mentioned in the break.
Yeah, and also the fact that, you know, Hybrid needs it banned against him. He was just so damn good at the Aphelios pick. We see the Akali actually banned this time on the blue side for KT. They're going to get rid of the Zoe from Fate's wheelhouse as well, and it looks like a lot of Fate priority here in the draft. So far, the Olaf standing out. We'll see whether that gets banned away. Both Olaf and Pantheon are probably the most, I guess, permabanned still left available, and Olaf will go down.
Taliyah's still open. It would be a pretty cool game to see Achilles, I don't know why I say Achilles. Taliyah, it'd be cool to see Achilles in there.
We say it all the time.
But it'd be cool to see Taliyah, actually played by Blank, already playing Lilia, which is rising up a little bit right now, but still actually at the bottom of jungle priority in Korea. So we're seeing, you know, a lot more Olaf and Graves, but since those are rising up, he will get the Taliyah here. And it's a pretty safe pick, actually. Oh. And now you got to think about a lot of things for Liv Sandbox, because Taliyah is very dangerous as an early game jungler. She can roam mid and top, get picks. So you have to think about, every single time you're thinking about your top and your mid lane right now, you're thinking about, okay, how does that do versus potentially what they're going to pick as the top lane? But also, how does it do against Taliyah roams? And that's an extra factor that you're going to have to keep in mind here.
And the Renekton is going to be locked in to deny the Taliyah-Renekton combo, but they still have the Taliyah-Camille combo. So this is a bit disastrous for Liv Sandbox. They're going to take the Samira one more time, and now I'm expecting that Camille just comes through, and they can take the Kai'Sa if they'd like as well. Like, KT can just run it back, but theoretically with an upgraded jungle.
I completely agree. And, I mean, with all the mid-priority away from the Victor, Yukal's probably just going to get that again anyways. He's comfortable on it, and it works well with this. The scaling is good with the Kai'Sa. So KT just play another safe game where they scale to the late game. We're going to see the Alistar denial here from Effort, and we are going to see that Nidalee coming through, so I think we'll definitely see between the two AP junglers here, I think we're definitely going to see a Yone ban on one side or the other.
Yeah, I think Yone makes a lot of sense to hop onto the ban list. Actually, in the LCS, we saw almost this exact comp, plus Yone win a game just a few hours ago. So maybe taking a leaf out of their book, but this was also the comp that lost from Damwon that we saw yesterday. So
a little bit...
It's definitely not unbeatable.
I'm a little bit concerned about the Gnar ban, because I don't think that's the route that... oh, I did it again. I don't think that's the way that KT are looking at playing this one out. Ooh, I like the Aurelia ban, though. If you remember Closer's game from a few days ago, it can be quite strong, actually, with the comp that Liv Sandbox is building to go into the mid lane, especially when you know that Yukal's probably looking to play the Victor. It's definitely a matchup that Closer showed us that you can absolutely dominate in the mid lane. So the Gnar ban, I think, is okay if we do see it followed up with the Camille ban. They take away the Aatrox instead, though.
That's super strange.
I think the Camille is the way they're going to go about this.
I think it's almost obvious that Camille could be picked up here, especially with how Doran played. But, you know, maybe we're going to see Camille mid lane. Who knows? Yone going to be banned, and I think that's intelligent. We already sort of alluded to the fact that he fits into this comp very, very nicely.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't want
Where does
they don't
it
want a
go?
strong champion in the mid lane who could be oppressive and have strong CC to pair with a really aggressive Nidalee. Just going to toss spears in, also in the late game fights with the Renekton, and looks like they're going to flex that mid pick as a response to what UCal picks up here, but are we really going to be surprised if UCal just takes the victor again, especially the comp that can scale really well to the late game? I think we could just take the Camille here as well one more time, and it feels like...
I mean, Camille Victor makes a lot of sense, right?
Orianna's available and can be a lot better for setting up kills for Taliyah. Pairs really well with Taliyah, pairs really well with Alistar for late game engage, but if you're looking for safe damage and a safe lane, I mean, even blind, I like the Victor, but they're going to take the safer option for Orianna, even if UCal maybe doesn't like it as much.
Yep, he's been defaulting to the Victor. Maybe he just wants to mix it up a little bit as well, and I respect that. At the same time, Quinn. This is a trap. I just wouldn't do it, but they're going to. So that's fine. I guess you can do like the dive bomb with the Quinn flying on in there with an orb. You know, you collect that, and then you can do the Sky Striker or whatever with the shockwave around you. But I don't know whether I like it quite as much as Galio is being considered right now for the mid lane.
I mean, it gives you a little bit of extra semi-global presence on the map. You can roam with the Nidalee. You can be, at least attempt to be a lot more oppressive against the Quinn in the top lane. You kind of pair with Renekton there and try to dominate that lane, but it's a tall ask. I think a lot of this game really is going to come down to the Quinn trap, as you called it, you know? Falling into this feeling like, okay, I can pick a range matchup, can be aggressive, roam around the map. I mean, the Quinn pick has been very sink or swim. I mean, even going as far back as to when she was played last year in summer. So I think a lot of this game comes down to Doran's performance on this and how well he pairs with Taliyah for blank. Otherwise, you know, this game can be a game where Summit runs away with it. I mean, his most famous and most common pick is the Renekton. It's usually banned against him. It's left open in this case, so he has an opportunity to showcase how strong of a Renekton player he is and to take back, I think, a little bit of pride, perhaps, even after that really rough game one.
Yeah, exactly. But they're going to have to do it pretty quickly. You know, this composition doesn't have all the longevity in the world. We've seen some Mira comps really fall behind if they can't get going a little bit earlier on, because you do need to be getting those resets. And if you can't get that first kill, then she doesn't do a whole lot. But it's a different comp out of KT as well. I mean, we saw Quinn, the self-counter pick into the Renekton is something that we were joking about last time she came through, but it felt like it, you know. This Quinn counter pick is something that has worked in, you know, other regions in the past, and sometimes it works here in Korea, but more often than not, it just feels like Renekton's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes into game number 2 here as KT try to make it a 2-0 against Liv Sandbox. It's a pretty cool Galio skin, so maybe that helps Liv Sandbox, but I would have liked an AD mid laner here for them, as well as, you know, a little bit more insurance towards late game, but that's fine. I think this comp could work, but they're just going to have to put their feet on the pedal.
Another option could have been Lucian mid. The Lucian could have been... you know, Strong has better scaling, you know, give him a little more range damage in team fights to maybe try to front to back, but doesn't have good CC for the Nidalee, and isn't going to have a great time, I think, trying to rush up against a Quinn in the top lane, so roaming top isn't going to be too great. So they went with the Galio instead. So.
Yeah, it's a little bit more Croco setup, I guess, and Croco has popped off on this this champion in the past, so the Nidalee certainly could be a bit of a carry for these guys. But he might be necessary towards the top lane as well. We know that when we see Nidalee Renekton, you sort of know what's going to happen. You know, you're not playing weak side top lane then if you're Summit, and he doesn't necessarily play weak side the best anyway, so maybe a little bit more top side focus could really allow Liv Sandbox to get off the ground earlier.
Yeah. It's going to be... I think, again, depending on what happens in the top lane is... Oh, God. Well,
ow.
UCal is just showing everybody that he does, in fact, as the Korean commentators said earlier, have his memory back. He remembers how to play the mid lane now. He's got it back. He is popping off. Very aggressive. I almost wanted to call it a trade, but it wasn't, you know?
No, it wasn't. It was a gargoyle taking a whole lot of cogs to the head, which didn't work out so well. Of course, Clockwork Wind-Up helping out there at level 1 for the Orianna. As, yeah, Fate's probably just going to be soaking a lot of this, using his health bar as a resource in order to try and get to some of these minions. And he does so very nicely. As you can see, he's been able to tidy up all of them before this siege minion comes in. As, yeah, Doran playing out the early stages of this matchup very well, but as you can see, it's not looking too Quinn favored.
Doran, one of the wins that we have alongside Khan in the LCK, but you know, when we're at the early stages, right, before someone has 3, he's gonna just have to play a lot more passively, and you know, Nidalee just gonna be farming at the moment, so it's just how it goes. He's gonna lose a little bit of CS here, for sure, which is pretty frustrating.
Yep, the blinds are starting to hit here from Doran as well, but as is the turret, so that's not necessarily what you're looking for. But yeah, Summit's not behind by too much, just doing his very best to try and farm underneath this turret. Not going to get those last 2, but staying within touching distance is all you can really ask for as the Renekton in the early stage of the game. Yukal's having a great time, but it's not really represented in the farm.
Yeah. Ping's coming up here as the back comes through. He was actually backing. Fate was out of vision, so a little bit worried for just a moment, but perhaps there was an overextension in the bot lane. Do have to keep that in mind, especially because they didn't know where Kroko was, and could have reasonably assumed he was taking the scuttle since they took the top. But as it is, not going to be anything but just a back cheater recall, as you guys like to call it, for Fate.
Oh, sorry. I got a little bit distracted, Wolf, and I'm going to, you know, peek behind the curtain and explain to you guys. Our friend Seth King, Achilleos, just reminded us, based on the Yukal meme, that good old Jun Bong Ho made a movie called Memories of Murder, and that's basically Yukal. He remembers 2018 now, and maybe he can be that murderer. So a big shout out to Achilleos for having his finger on the trigger when it comes to the memes.
Always gotta have the memes ready to go, and he certainly does. He's got a whole meme folder on his phone.
Yep.
No joke.
Good stuff. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, thank goodness.
This is.
Don't you love that Jonas Strong always knows about siege minion priority? That zoom was not on Summit versus Doran. That was on, is the siege minion going to die? Thankfully it did, and at the hands of Summit as well.
Yeah, the matchups in top and mid are going really well for KT. And unfortunately, for Summit, you know, this is not what he wants. We're going to see just a return to lane here. It's a bait. Blank is here, meanwhile.
Yep, bit of a fight towards the bottom side as well. Heal actually out from Root, as they do have vision here in this brush. Voidseeker not going to land, though, and that could have helped even out that trade as effort. Very high health bar. I'm going to be winning this one quite handedly. So, Liv Sandbox having a better time bottom lane, despite the fact that there is a lot of pressure coming from mid lane and top side here for KT. Looks like Dragon going to be next on the menu. It's a Cloud Drake, so KT not going to be too worried about it. And last time, giving away Drakes didn't seem to lose them anything at all.
Like, it feels like deja vu in a lot of ways. Safe matchup mid that Yukel's up 12 CS on. Top lane, Doran crushing Summit, having a nice early lead. It's nothing to write home about, but it can start to become pretty devastating as Summit is just losing so much CS under turret. And first Drake is, again, a Cloud Drake that you don't care about too much. So it just feels like deja vu in a lot of ways. The compositions will function very differently in the late game, but it still has to be Liv Sandbox getting an early lead. You talked about the Samira pick. It feels like every game we've seen in Korea where Samira's popped off, where we've had that moment of, okay, yeah, I see why this champion's so high prio in the draft. It feels like there's a double or triple kill at some point, like before 12 minutes, you know? And in Gumayushi's case, it was a pentakill. But it's like you need to have that pop-off moment as the Samira at some point in the early game before the mid-game really hits hard, or you just don't have a big power spike in the game at all. You get a shield bow later and you're like, okay, I don't die now, but you're just not strong enough early enough to really have that big damage.
And you don't even necessarily need the Samira to pop off as well. It's just the team needs to get kills. Like, the pentakill from Gumayushi was That was on Ophelia.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it was on
was
Ophelia.
able to get those early leads on the Samira when he played it out, even in the game that they lost, right? Like, he was still deadly in that one. So, yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that Samira does need to have a team that's sort of geared up for the early game. And you can see that's probably why Croco's playing bottom side a little bit more and leaving Summit to once again play some weak side Renekton into the Quinn. But I don't know whether it's exactly the greatest of situations. I think that you should be trying to utilize your Nidalee Renekton combo to at least beef up the rest of the map to allow team fights to be won in the mid game to get the Samira those resets and allow that cleanup to be so.
Yeah, if the matchup is going, if the top lane is going even, you can farm fine if you're the Nidalee, I think. But when you're in this situation where Doran is like now 20 CS ahead, then, I mean...
Oh, there's the dice. Okay, so we've closed distance here, and Doran has to flash. This is the problem. With the Quinn, you only have 1 volt, not 2.
Yes. Good old Crocodile at the top's going to have that extra one over you. He's actually pushing the issue here, too. He's hoping to find a back. Doesn't happen.
Did you say Crocodile at the top, or did you mean Croco at the summit?
Ooh, I like the reversal there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was my fate to make bad puns.
He hasn't...
I made a lot of effort to have the right route there.
He hasn't really gone up there too much this game, but at least Summit gets this trade that's going to parlay into a Rift Herald, which can give him back some of that gold he's missing in the top lane if they make a play for that, coming up very shortly. The next Drake...
Yeah, I actually think this could be really valuable on Summit as well.
I feel like because of the parallels between this game and last game, it just feels like we're going to see an Infernal Soul again. But, you know...
Ooh. Nah, it'll be mountainous.
You think so? Just for the parody?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the Drake Whisperer. I just know. I set up a lot of clouds, and now I'm setting up mountains. That's it's just what I do.
All right.
As KT once again, you know, they're ahead by just over 1,000 gold, and that's basically in the mid lane and in the top lane based on farm. And of course, Blank's been rocketing around the jungle as well, surfing on them walls and picking up all them camps. And the bottom lane's pretty even, so if KT just continue along this road, things will look okay. But looking at where that Rift Herald's going to go and who's going to be able to pick up the next Drakes, that's what's going to be important, because it's not all about gold lead. And Live Sandbox have been able to, you know, pick up the majority, in fact, all of the neutral objectives around the map.
Yeah, it feels like the best option would be to try to get some extra gold to Summit so you can start to do more in this game. But at the same time, you know, you're really feeling the Samira at this point as not ahead, you know, which is fine in a lot of different compositions, but in this one, you know, the fact that she's just a few CS up and that's all that she can say about her state of the game, it's not enough.
Well, this might be a bit of a change as Root's trying to get that damage in. Solar Flare doesn't get the stun though as Croco, he finds Blank, and that's real dangerous. Killer Instinct, oh, I could feel Hybrid just wanting it. But he's not actually able to get there onto Croco in the end, and probably would have been suicide anyway. His fate, he's going to Justice Punch his way out to safety, but we were talking about the fact that it needs to be Live Sandbox making the moves. They tried, it just didn't quite.
Yeah, unfortunately just not able to get that poke, or get that kill rather, that pick in the bot lane, and they were so close to it. Summit's going to shove this wave in, finally finding his place in that top lane. A Drake fight here, definitely vision advantage right now. Or positional advantage and vision advantage to Live Sandbox. As Yukal's looking for a solo kill here. Summit's on his way.
Yep, and he's surrounded by 5 people. Flashes forward, Fate, one more auto, and he will be able to get first blood, but he can't get there. Everyone collapses, and Yukal maybe a little bit overexcited after his player of the game performance in game 1.
Yeah, just without having any vision in the river, and also knowing that he was missing in top, Summit was missing. From that alone, it was pretty overzealous to hope for that solo kill there. And I almost felt like Fate was pulling the strings on that one, baiting him quite a bit, and then everyone else was on Drake nearby as well. They're going to funnel this gold into the bot lane for the Rift Herald with that Drake take and the free pick onto Yukal. So this is going okay for Live Sandbox, you know.
Yeah, Root actually didn't get any of that money. All of it went to Croco.
Oops.
So I think Zeus actually delayed it long enough so that, you know, it wasn't actually able to be funneled into the Samira. That could be a big problem. As, yeah, you can see Yukal got so close, then decides to back away, flashes, and unfortunately Fate had a flash as well.
Yeah, just a little bit of miscalculation on the damage there. Yeah, that's unfortunate that Root didn't get the gold there. It's actually 6 gold behind at the moment.
No! All of that 6 gold, as here's the flash solar flare, and that's another dead Yukal. Oh dear, he really did put a target on the back
Looks
of his
like
head.
he forgot how to play mid again. His memories are gone. Now Fate's got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to respect this comp. It's extremely deadly with a Renekton roaming around, potentially. You know, that's what happened the first time, and then just kind of overextending there again without vision in mid. And now he's, you know, he's 0-2. He's still ahead in CS, but that lead is going to diminish every time he makes a mistake like this.
Absolutely. Pings out onto exactly where Croco is. KT understand that they're getting a little bit of attention down here as Blank's going to turn up, control ward in the brush. As some rocks are being thrown over. Spear not going to land as Fate is here, but he's standing on a ward. They know this is going to be a 3v4 situation as Blank has to flash, and the taunt is going to go wide. The minion wave dealt with, though, and KT may have weathered the storm as Yukal just stays in the mid lane, continues pushing that out and adding that pressure. The Sandbox are wasting.
They really are. I mean, Yukel's on his way down now after clearing that wave, and they really do need to get this turret and get out. I mean, the plate at least they're going to grab, but a lot of staying down here in the bot lane and not achieving anything else, unfortunately. Doesn't end up being too drastically bad for them as Yukel just got a wave in mid and there weren't any other objectives on the map to take, so the trade-off not as bad as it could have been, but still, as you say, a little bit of wasted time.
Yeah, so Yukal just going to extend that lead out just a little. Doran's going to head down the river, grab himself some shellfish, and then continue being a menace on the top lane. As we're going to have a look at Yukal dying yet again. It's a bit sad. We didn't need to check it out another time.
Yeah, it's just a... I mean, he's a little bit too far forward. Fate baits him a little bit and taunts, and then you see the solar flare as a blade, and Effort is just, you know, he's looking for engage whenever he can get it when he's on that really strong Leona. He loves to roam a ton,
yep,
as he's done for his whole career.
Yep, he sat behind Marta for quite some time, and you're going to learn the ways of getting out of your lane if you do that. Certainly had a pretty good teacher in that department, absolutely.
So, double the plates here, Atlas, on the turrets here. You can see it in favor of Lib Sandbox, but not all funneled the way they would have liked to have it.
Well, there's a Weaver's Wall, and this crocodile is dead, guys. There's no real two ways about it. Not even much of a health bar to be sacrificed in order to get there, and they're going to be able to augment this with a turret. KT, great macro play as well as a good pick.
Yeah. The trade-off being the turret take here in the top lane. Actually going to grab this turret down here as well as Hybrid, looks like. A little bit slow on the draw for Lib Sandbox to deal without it. They're just not in position to do so. As Yukal again is trying to make the big play. Super aggressive Yukal.
Doran, we'll see whether Doran's actually going to be punished for sitting here in this lane. It's going to be very extended as we're going to have a look at Summit going down yet again. It was a very good gank, you know, but a bit of a set play here.
Yeah, I mean, this is a gank that it's unlosable basically with the Weaver's Wall, etc. They lose top turret for it, but they're able to get the bot turret as well, so it's being pretty nice. The next Drake is Infernal, so you were the Drake Whisperer again. Mountain Soul.
Oh no, I said Mountain. Dang.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
I'm not... You're
I am the Whisperer. Yeah,
you're giving me credit for your own success.
I just want everybody to win, Atlas.
Well, I mean, it wasn't me today, as our junglers are very even as far as gold is concerned. It was a 2 gold advantage for Blank, as our Spear is going to connect. This Dragon now available, and KT is starting it off. They don't want to give a Infernal away before starting to win some fights, as Doran with his Harrier just scouting the area. Teleport will come in as it's Croco that secures it once again. It's Soul Point as Effort dives on into the back line. Tower's going to fall down as well because of the Rift Herald, but Fate gets himself into the back of the fight. Hybrid having to flash, and now the Samira gets in amongst it. But Shockwave was held onto. Now Zeus gets forward as Yukal's trying to keep them alive, but he can't really do it. Croco now fighting the Orianna, but Yukal's very strong, and Doran off to the side, trying to fight this one out as well. But it is still going to be a one fight for Liv Sandbox, and they got the dragon. Yukal now going to be jumped on by Croco. He is going to survive. Flash forward once again, and once again, not able to do quite enough as this fight is going on for so damn long. There's a blast cone here for Doran to use as he uses it to get rid of Summit, but he can't get rid of the kitty cat, who is going to die by the looks of things. Now Summit finds himself in an alcove, and he will be taken down. And I think that might even out the trade, but I'm not entirely sure.
It took forever. It certainly did. I think it ends up being a fairly even trade. All this entire time, Fate was not going to help out at all. He was just going to push mid. But I want to watch how this all went down at the very beginning with the actual steal, technically speaking, in game here from Lily on the Drake. And then the engage here is actually a little bit sloppy on both sides, but Root is able to just pop off, goes over the wall here with his ultimate. The Shockwave denies that from actually finishing off Hybrid. Summit does end up getting the kill back, and this is when Doran just goes into full kite mode and is able to just harass forever. It was a little bit of indecision on the side of KT Rolster about coming down here to save him. I mean, Yukal was always decided, but the rest of the squad a little bit slow to respond here as Doran just tries to go all the way down as Yukal's like, I really want to help them, but I'm at risk all the time. An effort turns on him, so he's not able to come in here and help secure the kill. Doran does go down, and Hybrid eventually joins the fight. His effort is a nice little flash away. Really long fight, as you said.
He held on to that flash for that entire time as well, and it felt like about 15 years that fight went on for. But it is going to mean that Liv Sandbox hold on to a small gold lead for a few seconds until it's taken back by KT. This game much closer than game one,
for sure. But if the parallels continue to happen, KT will take the next 2 Infernal Drakes. And we'll see some unfortunate engages for Liv Sandbox. But the comps don't operate the same, right? And Root, if he had gotten a double kill in that last fight too, would have been even better. But he is starting to come online a little bit. It's not the lead you would want to have as Samira, but it's not a situation where he's extremely behind or anything like that. He can absolutely win this this next fight and start to turn things around, especially if they get the Infernal Soul, which is closer than it feels like it should be, because we had that insanely long fight and long replay afterwards, but we're not that far away from it. And their comp is not one-dimensional about like hard engage this time, Atlas. You know, it's more of an actual straight-up team fighting comp that can front to back.
Yeah, no, it certainly can. And I was just thinking that KT don't really have that, right? They've only got Zeus as far as being a body in the front line. And with a Samira, it's good to have some beefy boys to, you know, CC and control the Samira before she gets completely ridiculous. But they're relying on, you know, Yukal and Zeus really locking her down whenever she throws out the ultimate. But, you know, Yukal was actually pretty good at it last time, so maybe it's going to be enough here for KT. But certainly looking like a very different game than game number one, that is for sure.
Yukal doesn't have an insane lead this time, you know, and isn't going to be able to do consistent, crazy damage. He's more of a, you know, Shockwave bot, no, you know, I mean, not to oversimplify it, but that is going to be his MO for a lot of these fights coming up. And Talia can help cut the team in half. There are ways to isolate a target, but I really do like this for Liv Sandbox if they win this next Drake fight, which happens in 60. Like, I think the game is totally opened up for them at that moment. So this is KT's real... the burden is on them to deny this Drake and win this fight and try to control vision is what they're trying to do here now, but unfortunately, Liv Sandbox just have the better position here. They have way better vision control, and KT, I think this is almost just a Hail Mary for them at this point. This fight is going to be so difficult to win.
And every 5 minutes, they have to do the same thing over and over again. So if KT deny this, then they have to gear up and then do it over and over. That's the power of Soul Point. As Liv Sandbox well and truly in position here. 25 seconds until the dragon is going to spawn. Hybrid. So going to wrap around, head back to the mid lane. Killer Instinct available. They want to use it as this blue buff just exiting his home for a few moments.
Oh, this is...
There's now KT with some position, but in goes the Solar Flare. Only getting a bit of a slow onto Yukal, who can now regain control. 3-man Shockwave right on the back line, but it hasn't actually locked anyone down. Heroic exit just to keep everyone alive. And the Weaver's Wall's going to split up the fight. Hybrid utilizing it now to lock down the Samira. And the entire bottom lane probably going to fall here. The Void Seeker, will it actually come out? The answer's no. But it looks like KT have done enough. That's a good knock up there onto Doran, but it's just not enough. The fight feels like it's already lost. Without the Samira, they're just not the same.
Nope, certainly not. Once the Samira's gone, I mean, look at the damage output in that fight. 376, taken out super early. And that was a beautiful fight from KT Rolster. I mean, I was about to say this is unwinnable, this fight for KT. They were out of position. There was a vision advantage for Liv Sandbox. I mean, the cards were stacked against them, but they fought beautifully. At Hybrid's flank on the side, he waited till the last possible moment to engage, did a lot of poke damage, and then the Weaver's Wall comes in very, very late into the fight when Liv Sandbox have utilized most of their utility and Samira is no longer relevant. We're going to see an attempt to take this Baron away, but not going to be successful. But that was a beautiful fight from KT.
Really nicely done. That was a bit of a scary Baron because, of course, they don't have anyone that can really tank it as Solar Flare. It's going to stop Doran from getting onto his bird as Shockwave comes through onto Effort. I don't know why Yukal did that. You didn't really have to, mate. You know, Effort didn't do anything to you yet. So it's not actually going to end up in a kill or anything like that, but Shockwave comes off cooldown very, very quickly. So Baron and denial of the Dragon Soul, and KT are starting to move up that advantage.
Yeah, they certainly are, Atlas. And again, it just echoes the story of the last game in terms of how the Drakes are working out, how these team fights are going. I really do hope we get a replay eventually of that last team fight, but there's so much action on the map right now that we might not get a chance, but it was beautifully played by KT, which gets them this objective, the Baron, afterwards, which was, like you said, risky, but they pulled it off just barely, and that's the sign of a team that is very much aware of their win conditions in this game and how this game could go if they do not continue to play aggressively off of a small advantage, because Liv Sandbox are almost at that point where if they get that Infernal Soul, it's just going to be too hard to fight anymore with the damage output of Samira, so it's important to always even just slide underneath the closing window on that Baron as best as possible, even take the risk there.
Yeah, no, I like it. As in goes Zeus, gonna get flash out from Root, which is exactly what they want. Now the Samira are gonna be so much more susceptible as Summit struggling against Doran. He's got a massive experience lead, as you can see, 2 levels on the Renekton, and this is how it's supposed to go, right? The pressure is supposed to stay there, and then the Quinn can really bully from range with all the extra damage she's able to build. So finally, we get representation of how Quinn's supposed to, navigate a late game with this matchup, as Root is going to deny the Weaver's Wall.
Yep.
That Whirl of Blades or whatever is pretty good, as it turns out.
Busto. It's nice that that's actually an interaction you can have, though. But, yeah.
I don't like that it can wipe out the Ornn's Rams. It's not very
it's not. That doesn't make any sense.
Rams.
Okay, so this fight, when you look back at it, too, KT, I mean, they're standing on vision this entire time. But look at the engage here when they actually commit with Zeus and the shockwave that comes in from Yukal. And now the Weaver Wall has cut the team in half. Like, Liv Sandbox is like, okay, we want to cancel this fight. We'd like a refund. And Hybrid comes out of the side when the Weaver's Wall is there. Nobody can collapse on him. Fate is a million miles away, and Summit is already dead. So he actually comes in at the perfect time to do that extra damage. And then they're just able to convert this into a Baron right afterwards, as Doran does a ton of extra poke damage there to wipe out Fate after the Zonias was used.
Yeah, that was a very nice play. I love, Blank and Hybrid coordinating the Weaver's Wall to split up the fight and then allow Hybrid just to get in there with the Killer Instinct. He ignored the low health Leona. He got rid of Root, which is exactly the right thing to do. And then there was no way that Liv Sandbox would win a fight after that, and that may have just set them up to win the game. About a 5,000 gold lead now for KT. This Orianna's getting more and more terrifying. Zhonya's Hourglass coming in very, very soon. Seraph's Embrace is already there. And we already saw, Yukal's just playing out of his mind this series. I don't know, so far this season.
It's been a good start for him, absolutely. And again, I think the story for UCal is taking back the glory that was almost his, right, from 2018, where there was a lot of good talk about UCal about being one of the rising up-and-coming mid laners, and then suddenly it just all felt like it went away, and it's actually a really scary moment for Liv Sandbox. Oh, they're going to be fine. Word over the wall. But yeah, I mean, I think for him the objective, Atlas, here is to become his former self again and be dominant once more.
Well, he's had a hangover ever since losing to Rookie, and I guess it's taken him 2 years to get over it, but it's good to see that maybe he has, as Doran. A little bit of a dicey position there, but no one's going to engage on him, and he's pretty quick on Valor right now.
Again, a fight.
Area spots out.
KT has to win this fight, once again. Like you said, that's the power of the soul point.
Yep, over and over. Every time it gets easier, I guess, because you do have yourself an Infernal Drake, you know, augmenting your stats. But now KT in position. The Drake's going to reset, though. This is going to be a 50-50. As Hybrid's getting poked out, these spears are powerful. As into the backline, there's the Shockwave! Special cow delivery, I love it! But the Infernal Soul does go over to Liv Sandbox. The fight is not over yet, but maybe it's beginning because the Samira is gone. Croco is gone. The other Croco, he's about to leave as well. As now Fate, he's trying to get out of there. And Effort is as well, but no damage is left over. Blank? Okay, he's got his Zhonya's. He'll be fine. As Fate, maybe not so much. He won't be fine, actually. He's dead, but still they're going to win out this fight. They're probably going to get themselves an ace. As Doran is going to chase Effort to the ends of the earth. That's the double kill for the Quinn, and this may just be the game.
They're trying to push for it here. The inhibitor is shoved down already, and they're just looking at finishing this game. I mean, they were potentially thinking about it, but with the low death timers, and we're still only 28 minutes into the game, they're going to perhaps try to convert this into another Baron. With the pressure in the bot lane on the bot inhibitor turret and the mid inhibitor being down, they could perhaps reset for a Baron play. The timing of this is actually really unfortunate for KT because, as you mentioned, they lose the Infernal Soul. It's stolen away. Croco with another great steal on this Nidalee. Look at how far away he is. He just goes right back in the Panther form. Is gonna, or cat form, whatever that's supposed to be, and then steals it away. Yeah, you know, it's Panther-esque. Maybe a Jaguar, I don't know.
Depends which skin you use.
Yeah, it depends. Good call. But yeah, I mean, the engage here with around the Drake is smart for Liv Sandbox. They're playing for the objective instead of winning the fight and try to set that up as a great shockwave from UCal, as you mentioned, and the follow-up there from Zeus has always been ready to help set up those engages with the CC that comes in from UCal, but they win the fight but lose the Drake. So now it feels like KT is like, okay, this is feels like it could be a short-lived victory, which is why I think they were pushing so aggressively towards the base to try to get anything they could there, because the Baron timing doesn't work out with the death timers. They can't win the game. They can only get one inhibitor, so it feels like, okay, it feels like you lose in that fight because you lost the Infernal Soul, which is Liv Sandbox's ticket to turn this game back around.
Well, now at least, you know, there's a couple of inhibitors that have been broken. So if KT win any sort of fight from now on, the game is just done. But I thought there might have been a window. Weaver's Wall going to come through as Samira going to be able to block it off, as you can see right there. But in the back of the fight, you can see Croco just going to be taken down by Doran. He's so strong on this Quinn, as Effort also going to feel the pain. And now Zeus just frontlining, Summit trying to do the same thing, but he's in and he's out. The heroic entrance, not looking so heroic, just looking a bit silly, as now we've got the Samira trying to pop off, but she's too far behind. And that's the fight we were talking about. It came in pretty quickly, and KT will this time win the game.
She's too far behind. She's not in position, and KT trying to set up for that Baron take. They had the vision control there. Liv Sandbox felt the pressure. They walked in, but they didn't get to take the fight on their terms. And that's what happens if you're a Samira that's behind. You end up being the last one to come into a team fight where it's already over before you get to pop off. And that's the end of it. It's going to be KT stealing this win again in the late game. It's going to be a 2-0.
Yeah. And that's going to be the double from Doran as well, saving the Quinn. 9, 1, and 8 in the end of this one. I wasn't convinced of the Quinn pick at the beginning of the game. I don't know whether I still am, but damn, that's one hell of a scoreline. Doran was able to actually team fight much better than what I was expecting, right? Often you see Quinn's thrown into a side lane, but this was Quinn finding a flank with all that extra movement speed that he was able to get. And Croco in that last fight did absolutely nothing because the bird of prey came down from the sky and snapped him up like he was a frog or a lizard or something like that.
Indeed. You know, as someone who's been following Korean esports forever, to see Hirai on KT roster and see him with his team and have a smile on his face is definitely kind of a awesome feeling for me, as to watch one of the best coaches in Korean esports actually still relevant years and years and years